Hi, I'm just getting some ingredients ready for my supper tonight. I'm making a stir-fry sauce, and that's going to be with a broccoli, red pepper, and mushroom stir-fry, and I'm going to serve that on rice. Now, I got the recipe for the stir-fry sauce from this cookbook. The cookbook is called the Low-Fat Herbivore, and the cookbook is by Jocelyn, Graef. This cookbook is not available on Amazon. The cookbook's available on Etsy though, and I'm going to put the link below so that you could order it or buy it. And I'm also going to include the recipe at the bottom of this post so you can see how I make it. Before I start though, there's one thing that I wanted to share with you that is so important. Before you make any recipe, whether it's cooking or baking, you should always assemble your ingredients. Now the French term, the culinary term for that is called mise en place. You want to assemble all of your ingredients, so that means taking everything out of the cupboard, having it on your counter, and then from there you can go out and measure everything, because if you have all of your ingredients together, then you're not wasting time going back and forth to your cupboard for one ingredient at a time. And I don't know if you're like me, but I did used to have times when I would start a recipe and I might have not had one ingredient in there, and it just throws the whole thing off because I did not do my mise en place. So having your mise en place ready is really, really important. So I'm going to start with the recipe. Like I said, it's from this cookbook, The Low-Fat Herbivore by Jocelyn Graef. And let's get started, shall we? So these are all of the things that are going into the recipe. I've got them all out on my counter. And from here I'm going to measure them up, and then I'll put it all together. And that'll be my mise en place. So this is what I mean by mise en place. You want to have all of your ingredients ready. So the recipe calls for some veggie broth. I have it in my jar here. It calls for tamari. I'm using tamari. You could use Bragg's or soy sauce. Tamari is a fermented soy sauce. It's made from the whole bean, and it's also gluten-free. It has in some rice vinegar. I love rice vinegar. Now, it also calls for sesame oil. Sesame oil packs such a big, big flavor. Now you know that I don't use any oil in my cooking. This recipe calls for a half a teaspoon, which is about 3 shakes. This just adds such a great big flavor to this sauce. 2, 3, there we go. And it calls for some ketchup. I don't use any low-fat stuff. I just use all the regular products. So if you use low-fat ketchup, you can recalculate the points as I'll have them below. It has some ginger, chopped up ginger, a tablespoon. The recipe calls for 10 cloves of garlic. I have a teaspoon of fermented garlic here, which is about the same. You can use sambal oelek. It calls for a chili, hot chili garlic sauce. And then it has Hoisin sauce in it as well. So these are my ingredients. I'm just going to give them a good stir here. Incorporate all of the flavors. And now the last ingredient to go in is cornstarch. It has a tablespoon of cornstarch. I'm going to add this in. Now just before serving, or just before cooking with this, you want to make sure that you give this a really, really good stir, or a really good shake, because the cornstarch will separate. There we go. This is my stir-fry sauce. Give it a good shake, and you'll see how this is going to pull the whole stir-fry together. Okay, next step. Hi, in the first part of the video I spoke to you about mise en place. That's getting all of your ingredients together for your recipe. And then I showed you how to put all of the sauce together. And now I want to show you how I compose a stir-fry. It's so easy, and anything can go into a stir-fry. Now I don't use any oil when I fry. I'm going to use, I've got some broth here. So instead of using oil, I'm going to add a little bit of broth. And that's what's going to move my veggies around. Just going to put a little bit in the bottom here. And these are my veggie ingredients. I've got some mushrooms, I've got some broccoli, I've got some asparagus tips, and some red peppers. So I'm going to add in my mushrooms first. Move this around. I have a link below about my spatula, and also I have something about my pot that I'm using, my pan that I'm using here as well. There's no need to use any kind of oil when you're sauteing anything. Even if you were sauteing onions for French onion soup, they're going to turn brown just based on the sugar in that in the onions. Okay, so these are going to let off their own liquid as well. There we go. Now I'm going to add in my broccoli. Just starting to stick a little bit, so I'll add a little bit more broth in. If you don't have broth, you can use water. Works exactly the same. I'm cooking for one here, so it gives you an idea of the volume that I'm going to have for my supper. I'm going to add in my peppers now. I like my veggies a little bit al dente, and I certainly don't like mushy broccoli. And for those of you that know me, you know that I love my broccoli. And I'll add in the rest of the asparagus here. There we go. That's cooked enough for me. So now I'm going to add in my stir-fry sauce. I put it in a jar. Give it a really good shake because the cornstarch can settle to the bottom here. I'm going to use about 1/3 of a cup here. And that will be 2 points. If you want to rework the recipe using like a no sugar or a low sugar ketchup, that might save you some points there. So put in 1/3 of a cup. Making a mess here. Add this into my stir fry. And I'm just going to reach for a bowl behind me here. That's thickening up really, really nice here. That's that. Add in some rice. I'm using just white basmati tonight, and I'm using that because I actually prefer this over brown rice. It's a bit heavy for me here. I'm going to wipe off the edge of my bowl. Remember, we eat with our eyes and we don't like to eat with anything messy. There we go. A little bit of chopped parsley for garnish. Et voila. Thanks for watching. My name's Jill. I hope you learned something today. Have a great day.